Hey guys, it's Nana, and today I wanted to talk to you about what I read in April. I only read one book last month, and if you've been watching my recent videos, you know what it is. It's a book that I absolutely loved, and that is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This book, guys, this book. Basically, I'm just gonna try and get some thoughts out there. I thought this book was amazing, and I don't think my little review is gonna do it justice, but I know people were interested to hear my thoughts, so I'm gonna try. So this is the story of four friends, and it is set in New York City. And when the book starts, they've just graduated college, and they're, you know, young and broke and just trying to make it. There is Malcolm, who is an aspiring architect, and he's known for building tiny little models, and he likes everything to be very ordered and neat, and his dream is to one day turn his little models into actual buildings. And there's JB, who's an artist, and he's got a huge personality. He likes to be the party, and he's always joking around and that sort of thing, but he's serious about his art. And then there's Willem, who is an aspiring actor. Willem is a Midwest boy, and he's so kind and so generous, and kind of can't believe that he's in New York, and he doesn't take it for granted at all. And finally, there's Jude. Jude. And Jude is so intelligent. He is studying to be a lawyer, but he has a past that he does not like to discuss. Basically, his friends don't know much about his past, because for him, when they first met him in college is when his new life began. So as I mentioned, the book begins when they're pretty young, just recently graduated from college, and then we follow their lives over the next 30 plus years. So we see relationships begin and end, we see how their friendships evolve and change, and we see how their careers take off or don't. It's a story about their lives and a story about these four people, but mainly it's a story about Jude. Yes, all four of these boys are friends, but in a way their lives kind of center on Jude. Yeah, so that's all I want to tell you about the plot, because I really think living the lives along with these characters and discovering it as you go is the best way to do it. And that's how I like to do it. You know, I like to go into books as blind as possible, so that's all I'm going to say about the plot. Gosh, sorry I keep, well, one, I'm going to put this down because it's heavy. Sorry I keep sighing, but just reading this book was an experience. A really good experience, but also really difficult in terms of emotional impact. I just cannot remember the last time a book had such an effect on me. So this book follows a non-linear structure, so it does jump around in time, and I know at least one person mentioned that they found that confusing, and I too would forget sometimes, you know, who is this character, or how are they involved in the lives of these boys, but then I would just flip back. As I settled into the story, it was much easier to remember who was who and figure out what was happening, so I wouldn't let that deter you. I thought the characters are just beautifully written. As I'm reading about them, it's like they're forming in front of me, and I believe that they're real people. I feel like they're out there in New York City right now, walking around. I felt like they were my friends. I felt like I was part of their group, and I know these people, and I cared deeply about them. It's just amazing that I can feel that way about fictional characters. I think her writing is very simple yet elegant. She has a way of just crafting a sentence so that it's so almost plain in a sense, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like plainly put out and perfectly put out, and it's just like, it just hits you. Just like hits you like with an impact. Reading this and following these characters' lives, you feel like you live a little life along with them. I mean, it is a massive book. It's 720 pages, I want to say, but not once did I get bored, and I was just immersed in this experience. I definitely have to mention that this book deals with very difficult subjects. There is emotional abuse and physical abuse and sexual abuse. So that is very difficult to read about. Some of the incidents are described in more details than others, but if those subjects are triggers for you, then I would say maybe stay away. Since I was so invested in the characters, particularly Jude, every little triumph or tragedy affected me a lot. So I wouldn't say that I'm a big crier, but I cried multiple times while reading this book. Not just like a little tear, but like sobbing. Like I was devastated by some of the things that happened in the book, but also there are moments of happiness, and there were times where I was crying because I was just so excited for people in the book. It took a huge emotional toll on me, and when I finished, I was just like, whoa, just expent, you know, emotionally and mentally. It just took it all out of me. I really love the way that this book talked about friendship and what it means to be a good friend and how friendships change over time. And it also discusses what constitutes a person's life and what makes a life worth living. You know, that answer is different for different people. It also deals with what it means to belong and how individuals find their place in the world. It's about what it means to be human and the wide spectrum of people there are out there. I'm sure you've heard that this book is really sad and really depressing, and it is. It was really hard. Like I said, it was really hard emotionally to read, but at the same time, there are moments of darkness and there are moments of light. And that's just like life, you know. Terrible things happen and also good things happen sometimes. Since we see these characters grow up, it also raises the question, do people ever change? Clearly, there were many passages I liked. I feel like I could open to any page and like read something great. Ooh, I really like this one about friendship. You won't understand what I mean now, but someday you will. The only trick of friendship, I think, is to find people who are better than you are. Not smarter, not cooler, but kinder and more generous and more forgiving. And then to appreciate them for what they can teach you, and to try to listen to them when they tell you something about yourself, no matter how bad or good it might be. And to trust them, which is the hardest thing of all, but the best as well. Realizing I really like books about friendship because I feel like, well, now we're getting personal. Book review turned personal, but I feel like for me, I have certain like walls up, and it's really hard for me to open up to other people. And it's the same way for Jude in this book, for reasons you will discover if you read this. It's really hard for him to let people in. I don't know, that just struck a chord with me. Many things in this book struck a chord with me. And I just, yeah. I told you guys I would just try and get some thoughts out there. I keep sighing because whenever I think about this book, it just, my chest tightens, and I love these characters so much. Particularly Jude and Willem. I finished this book more than a week ago now, and I'm still thinking about it constantly. I was writing my review a few days ago and thinking about what I wanted to say, and I was like starting to tear up, and I was like, oh my god, is this normal? Like, I finished this book days ago. How am I still so connected? I'm in this phase right now where I just want to be insular with this book, and normally as soon as I finish, I go and read a bunch of reviews and see what other people think, but I'm like, what if people hate it? Like, I just love this book so much. It's so precious to me right now. So, did I mention that it's the best book I've read this year and probably in years? That's how strongly I feel about this book. I gave it 5 stars. I don't know if I've ever given a book 5 stars on my channel that I've discussed. I'm not sure, but this is why I read, like, for this kind of experience that just completely moved me. Like, this is why I think literature is so important, that it can just grab people and really change the way you think about certain things. It's amazing to me. I'm just in awe. What else did I want to say? Oh, a few things I want to mention. I don't know about you, but like if I'm in a sad mood, I want to like listen to sad songs that complement my mood. So there were a couple songs I listened to while reading this book that I just now cannot listen to without thinking of this book. And one of them is St. Jude by Florence and the Machine, and the other one is Lost and Found by Lianne Havas. So I will link up both of those below if you want to check them out. And I will also link up some articles and things about the book that I found as I was searching around and writing my review, in case you want to hear other people talk about this book. If you've read this book, talk to me about it. No spoilers, please, for people who haven't read it, but if we want to be spoilery, we can find somewhere else to discuss it. Like, let me know and we'll figure it out. Okay, yes, so let me know if you read this book, or let me know what you read in April. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to talk to me elsewhere, I am on Goodreads, Twitter, Instagram. I'll leave those links down below too. And oh, there may or may not be a bonus video this Friday about Independent Bookstore Day. It might be coming, so keep your eyes peeled and come back here Friday, 8 a.m. You don't have to come back at that time, but that's when it will be posted. And that's it. I gotta wrap it up because I'm late and I've gotta get out of here. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!